Welcome to Careers and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, Laura. Today's guest is someone my family and so many others in our community know simply as Coach Kelly, a leader whose presence commands both respect and trust. He's the perfect example of discipline lived, not preached, the kind of mentor who builds confidence, character, and community in everything he does. But before he was teaching takedowns and self-defense, retired Major Kelly Grissom spent 2 decades serving his country as a United States Marine. Enlisting in 1989 after graduating from Parris Island and later earning his commission as a second lieutenant, Kelly has led Marines all over the world, from Asia and East Africa to Iraq and Afghanistan. He considers his tour as the company commander of Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marine Regiment as the highlight of his career. He was awarded the Bronze Star with Combat Distinguishing Device for his leadership and actions during his company's tour in Afghanistan in 2005. Events later chronicled in the movie you may have seen, Lone Survivor. When he retired from active duty, he joined the Federal Civilian Service as the director of the Marine Corps' Intelligence Operations Center in Quantico, Virginia. And at the same time, he brought that sense of purpose to a new mission, helping others strengthen their bodies and minds through Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. As the founder of Koa Martial Arts and a respected coach under Master Leo Dalla's lineage, Kelly now trains everyone from kids and families to federal law enforcement officers, military, first responders. His focus isn't just on self-defense, it's on self-mastery. In addition to running his own business, Kelly is also a contract instructor for 3 Range Combatives, a small Virginia company that instructs combatives and defensive tactics to selected U.S. federal and other law enforcement organizations, including the FBI Hostage Rescue Team. His work stems from his lifelong pursuit of martial arts. Kelly's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and he's earned 5 Masters World Championship medals in the sport. From battlefield leadership to building a community on the mat, Kelly's story is about service, it's about resilience, and it's about the power of showing up for others every single day. Let's get into it. So, Coach Kelly, I'm super excited about today's conversation, not just because of everything I just talked about, but because this is also my first episode face-to-face, in person. Usually I record virtually. And I think there's just something about sitting across from someone who really lives what they teach, which I would say that you do. And just, I think that is hard to capture through the screen. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. As we were saying before we started, it's very almost intimidating, like to listen to someone read off these things, because for me, I don't think about a lot of that stuff that is captured in what you talked about. And the most important thing really for me today is, jiu-jitsu, especially the kids, and then also the coaches, because here at Koa, a lot of the students nowadays they're not even my students, they're like my students' students.
Yeah.
So I don't think about all that stuff in the past. Sometimes it's almost, I guess I almost feel embarrassed sometimes, when people say that. So, but I know I did it, I was there,
Right?
but
It's like a lifetime ago, probably.
yeah. And I owe a lot to the gentleman that wrote that book, Ed Derrick. Yeah. Because my experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan, which are a long time ago now, that stuff was 20 years ago. What happened in Afghanistan when I was there. There was stuff, like someone decided to record and tell our story, our unit story. And so we owe a lot of gratitude to him for that, because I saw, I don't know how many stories, or know of countless stories that could have been a movie or could have been a book kind of thing. It was recently, some things have come out about this stuff recently, about what happened with the SEALs and what happened with us, and some of the things that were maybe not initially communicated as accurately as they could have been. And there's a handful of us who are in 2-3 who know the whole story. But there was never any reason, or there was never a good reason to be like, no, this is what, you got that part wrong, or whatever. There was no point. The lieutenant died Mike Murphy, and so there was just no point in trying to rehash some nuanced kind of truth.
No, that makes sense. And I'm looking forward to getting into all of that with you.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't. It's okay. We're going to have, I know this is going to be a great conversation. Like I said, I'm really excited about it. Before we jump in, I also just want to give a quick shout out to another local business here in Stafford, Virginia, the Grounds Coffee House, who provided some much needed coffee for our conversation. I did learn you are a coffee drinker, so I'm super excited about that too. I do talk to some folks who are not coffee drinkers, and it always surprises me. I don't know how they get through the day, but
my daughter likes to go there she says she's studying, but she might just be hanging out.
She might just be hanging out. It's a great place to do that too, let me say. So before we start with the career journey, I always like to go like all the way back to the beginning. So do that with me, if you will, before the beginning even. When you were young, when you were a child, was there anything in particular that you dreamed of becoming one day when you grew up?
That's a good question. I don't, there was nothing specific that I remember until somewhere around that 15 or 16. I got the idea that I wanted to be a Marine.
Okay. Where did that come from for you?
I really don't know. And it's going to sound crazy, but I'm pretty sure it was a poster.
Really?
And it just something, and I could show you the poster today. Maybe I'll try to send it to you.
Yeah.
It was a particular poster that somehow captured my fantasy as a young guy.
Yeah, you're thinking about college, the future, what you're going to do.
I was thinking about
right?
college, and I didn't want to go to college, and I decided that I wanted to be a Marine somehow in there. And I remember I didn't want to tell my mom
Yeah.
and my stepfather. My mom got remarried, so it was just me and her for a while, and then just as I started high school, my mom got remarried. I was the best man at my mother's wedding.
I love that.
My stepdad was pretty cool to try to, to make that gesture.
Yeah.
But yeah, somewhere in high school, I decided I was gonna be a Marine. I didn't want to tell them because I don't know. I thought they would reject it, and they did. They rejected it hard.
Just
my
fear.
Stepfather's brother died in Vietnam.
Okay.
He was also in 3rd Marines, same regiment as me. So I had an uncle, by my mother's marriage, who I never met, who died in Mike Company 3-3 in Vietnam.
Wow.
And so my family had a visceral, and I was close to my stepfather's family. They were like family. His mother was a grandmother to me. And so I didn't want to tell him the Marine Corps thing. But eventually, well, what happened, I got an Air Force scholarship.
Okay.
Out of high school. I got an Air Force ROTC scholarship.
Okay.
So I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to go to college.
Right.
I don't even know why I applied for it, but that's what happened. And so I had an Air Force scholarship, and I had scholarship money. So I'm going to go to school, and I was hoping to wrestle. That was part of the plan. I was going to wrestle.
Okay.
Do Air Force ROTC at NC State.
Okay.
But I failed out. I failed on the wrestling team. I failed academically. I wasn't ready to go to college. And then I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And I guess when I graduated, I was not old enough to enlist on my own. I graduated high school at 17.
Gotcha.
And my mother, they would not.
Absolutely not.
It. Plus I had a scholarship. So I went to school, did miserable, terrible. Now I'm old enough, and I went to the recruiter. It was a stressful moment in my household. Stressful for my mother.
I'm sure.
I'm leaving college, would go to the Marine Corps. It was like, I felt like I was at the end of my kind of rope. But it was what I had wanted to do from the get-go. And I had this not great year at state.
I think sometimes those like difficult moments, the most challenging times is like where you kind of get that clarity. For you, it was like wanting to go into the service, right? So you enlisted in 1989. What did you learn about yourself in the first few years of service? You mentioned going through a challenging time.
The decision to go, I was young, and I didn't know what I was doing with myself. and now I failed at this and I failed at that, and somehow the Marine Corps just seemed to be. There's a magic thing about the Marine Corps in the marketing, in that it doesn't promise you anything ever, ever.
Right.
They're just like, you'll get to be a Marine. And I always have thought that then you end up with this collection of people who have some kind of idealism that they aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Marine Corps is kind of like, yeah, you'll get to be that.
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever it is. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. It's kind of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when I joined the Marine Corps, for me, it just clicked.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is it.
That's where you're meant to be.
It felt, it just felt comfortable and correct. And I liked being a Marine. And I joke with people all the time about, I went to Parris Island.
Yeah.
It's notorious for, getting messed with and cleaning and exercising. And I'd be like, man, there's nothing compared to growing up with my mom. They don't know anything about cleaning. So it just felt, it
was a natural fit.
And I kind of took right to it, and it kind of went from there. And
Yeah.
that's one decision, to want to be a Marine, to join the Marine Corps, probably changed my life for the better in more ways than I could ever articulate. And even now, right now, today, I'm 55. And I wanted to be a Marine when I was 15 or 16. I'm 55 now, right next to Marine Corps base. And it's a big part of my life.
Still.
And they take care of me, and I have relationships with the Marine Corps. And I love the Marine Corps. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's a big cult. It's got a lot of lumps. I love it for me. I'm not happy with my sons, but for me, I'm real happy. Both my sons are sergeants.
That's right.
And their experience has been a little different than mine. And I'm not as happy as a Marine dad as I was as a Marine.
Do you understand now, looking back, your mother's reaction, your stepfather's reaction to wanting to enlist?
Not really. It's quite different.
It's different.
Because it's like they're joining my fraternity. And I didn't want them to do it.
Right.
And I tried to talk them both out of it.
Yeah.
But then they did it, so I'm proud. I love that we can talk about the Marine Corps birthday ball.
Sure.
And they really know. It's like a different level of conversation. Sometimes it's just father-son.
Sure.
But sometimes like sergeant, or major sergeant, wherever it may be.
It's like it bonds you on different levels, right?
I love that my sons are Marines. I'm so proud of them that they did it, and I'm so happy that I did everything in my power to talk them out of it. Because my oldest is like a love-hate relationship with it. My youngest kind of likes it.
Yeah.
But however they feel about it, I know it's not on me.
Yeah.
Like, I told you not to do it. I try not to say I told you so when they're complaining. But
they have to learn on their own, right?
Yeah.
Well, I should stop there and just say thank you so much for your service, and to your sons for their service. Much appreciated. And I want to spend a little bit of time on Afghanistan from here. So specifically Operation Whalers, because it feels like that was such a defining chapter in your life, in your career, in your life as a leader, right? And I want to say up front too, I don't want to, make you go through, I want to stay at whatever level you're comfortable with, right? My goal is not for you to relive the hardest moments, but really to understand like the leadership, the responsibility, everything that came with that experience, that operation. So for listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with this period, or maybe they just know it through the movies, through Lone Survivor, did you ever think you'd be that connected to Mark Wahlberg, by the way? No, that wasn't on your bingo card. Well, there's a really specific version of events, right? And you kind of alluded to this that has become more widely known. But from your perspective as a Marine commander on the ground, what do you think is the most often misunderstood thing about that time or that place?
Boy, I mean, that's a good question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because I don't. They made a movie, and the movie tells, a version of what happened at that time.
Yeah.
It's like 2005, June, July, August time period, somewhere in there. because there were two operations first. There was the Red Wings, which is what the movie really focuses on, and then Whalers, which was, I guess, about a month later or something. And so the movies really focus on Red Wings and what transpired. It's not the whole story.
Sure.
And so for a long time, I felt some kind of way about that because it's like, this is my life. And we fought hard in those spaces. We did what we were supposed to do and what Marines do. And it felt like the story was just missing stuff, or it's weird. It's not like you want credit, but you don't want someone else to get credit. You know, like I don't want none of us to get credit for anything. But if you're going to go make a movie, then don't make it about the part where people got beat up on our side.
Yeah.
Make it about the part where we crushed them.
Right. Of course.
And so I guess for me it was, and that movie was real popular, you know. So here, I will share this. Since we're doing this, I'll share this. Because I've told this before in private, but in any case, that book came out, Lone Survivor came out. I don't remember when it came out. The book came out. Let me back up.
Yeah.
We came home from Afghanistan.
Yep.
And I told this guy who was an embedded journalist with us, I said, Ed, you got to write a book. I pulled into an office in Hawaii. We were back in Hawaii,
Right.
and he was walking up the hallway. I said, come here. I took him in the office. I was a captain. I shut the door. I said, you got to write this story, man. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, you got to write a book. You're going to write a book about this. Because none of us are going to do it. And what we just did should probably be a story that gets told.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to write the book. I'm telling on Ed a little bit. So that was it. I hadn't seen him for a long time. And then I went off to do it. I left from maybe 3rd Marines. I don't remember. And months went by. And Lone Survivor came out. The book came out. Bestseller about a SEAL team getting crushed.
And your reaction?
Well, I was pissed. I was pissed, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't remember how I ended up communicating with Ed at some point. And I'm like, see, man?
Right.
Oh, I know what happened. He saw the book.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, that's not what happened. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
So he was good friends with one of my lieutenants. And my lieutenant called me one day in Hawaii. He says, hey, sir, Ed's here. He's going to write the book about the thing. I said, okay, you guys come over to my place where I lived in Hawaii. So I went and got my maps and my personal notes, because I took notes and pictures. I went and got some of this stuff, and I got it out at my house. And then they showed up at my house one afternoon, and I was like, didn't I tell you to write the book? Now the wrong story is a bestseller. He's like, I'm writing it now. I'm like, okay, fine. Here's my stuff. And we talked, and then he did. He wrote it, and he did a phenomenal job by all accounts. I've never read it.
Yeah. Oh, you should.
No,
You wouldn't want to go back and...
I reviewed parts of it for accuracy, like things that were kind of about me or supposed to be about me. I read a little bit in the beginning. I thought I was portrayed much too sternly. But I feel like across. It's written from the perspective of the lieutenants, so maybe that was, their perspective. I think if you talk to me or my battalion commander, battalion XO, we maybe would have a little bit different, slightly different perspective.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he wrote the book. He did a fantastic job, and I'm very grateful that it got captured. A number of those pictures, I think, are pictures I took and gave to Ed. Yeah. He went on to kind of become a Marine writer. Ed's got some other books about Marines, and it kind of became his thing. But that was his first. Before that, he was a mountaineering guy.
Okay.
He had written some mountaineering stuff. That's how he got interested in what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, the book, of course, that we're talking about is Victory Point by Ed Derrick. It approaches that period through, I think, a very Marine-centered lens. It's focused on leadership. It's focused on the terrain, the decision-making. When you see, I know you haven't read the whole thing, but accounts or parts of his account, what resonates most for you with that experience?
Well, the first thing I'll say is the reason I don't read it is because, memory things are real.
Oh, yeah.
Memory, cognitive memory
Sure.
issues, that sort of thing, and TBI kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried if I read a book, I might replace what I remember with what he wrote in the book.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't. I'm pretty sure if I read it, then
It'll take you back.
he did so much research.
Yeah.
I may, supplant something that I think
Yeah.
with whatever that's the only reason I have never kind of
Yeah.
given it a thorough read.
Yeah.
But I remember I had spent, at that point, I think I had been a Marine about 16 years when I got that job. And because I was prior enlisted, because I was enlisted for 7 years, I'm getting company command at this rank, but I'm a little bit older than maybe what I would have been if I had just matriculated from college
Yep.
to become an officer. And I always say that experience, that being a company commander, the way that I ended up being a company commander, which was a very short notice thing.
Okay.
I got command of that company, I think maybe 2 weeks before
Wow.
Afghanistan. I didn't do the pre-training and
Yeah.
so, my executive officer of my company, the lieutenant, second in charge, a guy named Carl Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
When Carl left to go to Afghanistan as an XO, he went early
Okay.
at advanced party. When he left, a different guy was in charge of him. So while he was in country, back in Hawaii, they changed. This other guy got taken out of command. I got put in command of the company about 2 weeks prior. So it was a very short notice kind of way that it all
Played out.
it went down. So anyway, I got that command in that way. Whalers happen later in the deployment, but not at the end. We stayed until the next year.
Yep.
We didn't leave till January. And Whalers, I think, is August time period.
Yeah.
But I always said, everything I ever learned as a Marine, from day one to that moment, all of it came to be as a company commander. Like every little thing that I had ever experienced as a Marine, somehow I needed to leverage that to be the best company commander I was trying to be. And the thing that stands out the most is the Marines. I just love Marines. There's something about the process and young Americans and that idealism that kind of combines together to make a very unique little subculture of American culture. Because it's American culture, but it's a little subset of Marines.
Yeah.
And when that operation was over, I remember, and we kind of fought right up to the last minute because we got ambushed a couple of times as we're trying to extract. We get back into the base, and I still get chills thinking about it. I have never been so proud to be a Marine. It was like everything I had ever read about or every movie I'd ever watched or everything I'd ever thought a Marine might or would be, in that moment, it was true.
Yeah.
And those Marines and me together, like we had done everything Marines do.
Yeah.
And I learned some other things about that. That's one thing. Like I really, when I say I love the Marine Corps, I mean it. As a separate fraternal culture, a warrior culture. Separate
really-
from politics and stuff like that.
It really reinforced that then for you.
That moment
Yeah.
was all of that stuff.
What exactly was the mission, Operation Whalers, right?
Well-
to accomplish, and what did success look like, and then maybe also how did that evolve as the operation unfolded?
During that time period in Afghanistan, a lot of the mission set was, in hindsight too, looking at it, it reflected kind of the political realities of what was happening in America, which is very unspecific goals. And largely we would operate with a mission that was like disrupt. We at that time they were called, I believe, ACM, Anti-Coalition Militia. So they were kind of all lumped in together. They had some ill intent, against the new government of Afghanistan. So the general idea was to reinforce the legitimate, recognized government of Afghanistan, but also to operate in a way that was respectful of the tribal cultures in the area where we were operating. I was all the way in the east, very, heartland of the Taliban, Pakistan border, Korengal Valley. But basically the mission was we were going to operating in their space to disrupt activities that were to legitimize the government. Very nebulous.
Yeah. That makes
For Marines,
success
it's
hard.
kind of like find bad guys and smash them.
Yeah.
How do you know it's a bad guy?
Yeah.
Well, because they're shooting at you
Yeah.
or they're making IEDs. You don't maybe go through the whole loop of, well, maybe you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like if someone showed up here, like I would have me and my sons, I would be trying to hurt them until they left.
Right.
If some non-American entity showed up here to help me, I'm like, I don't need your help.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that perspective really at that time. I did after Whalers. After Whalers changed my perspective
That's interesting. Yeah.
because we killed a lot of people. And then at the end of it, I remember standing outside my FOB, my forward operating base had come back to where I was, like smoking. It's always bummed cigarettes off. It was one Lieutenant Mittendorf. He's a colonel now. He's just finishing up as an aide to the commandant. He's a commandant's aide, but he was my lieutenant 20 years ago. And I always bummed cigarettes off of Mittendorf. Anyway, I was standing out back of the FOB, looking across, it's like a movie. And I thought, man, we will just never kill our way out of this problem. And as a Marine, up until that point, my mindset was, we can kill our way out of any problem.
Yeah.
Just let us do it.
Yeah.
But then after Whalers, there was one night in Whalers, I think it was maybe the night of the 16th. I always forget when Constance's birthday is. One of my lieutenant's birthday was right. He got wounded on his birthday.
I remember this.
It's like 15, 16, something like that. But we're sitting in the position. It's at night. Their attack is over, and you can look down in front of us. There's all these lights. And the Marines are ready to go, we're going to get them. And I said, nope, they're collecting, they're dead. I would imagine that's what's happening. Let them be, they're not. That whole experience, because they paid for, we were in a bad spot.
Yeah.
To be sure, they did a good job. We were in a bad spot. But there's nothing like U.S. Marines, I don't think.
Yeah.
You
say an experience like that obviously changes you in a lot of ways. Like you came home, which is amazing, but you come home, I would imagine, a very different person. I think you kind of said that to your point. It changed your perspective quite a bit. What stayed with you the most then from that deployment? And how do you think it shaped the leader that you've become?
The single most important thing that happened to me during the duration of that deployment and everything, it was one time, I really thought I would not live. Only happened once. I was very arrogant. Like, you hear me talking about Marines, like, they can't get us, But once I thought, one day I'm like, it was at the very end of Whalers, I thought, this is it,
Yeah.
And then I said a prayer, and I kind of looked around, and I got to the business of doing what I needed to do. And I did what I needed to do. And we survived. And I had no KIA, lots of wounded, but no KIA. I came to accept that some days I can be the guy that I need and want to be, but I'm not going to be that guy every day. But if I can hit the right days to be the guy that I really need to be, then it'll be okay. And so it was a little bit of, even though I really was the person I always hoped I would be on that day. So you get a supreme level of deep confidence, even though, yes, I have imposter syndrome that I deal with. Deep down, I always feel like if I really have to, I can be the person I need to be because I did it that time.
Right.
you know?
Right.
I don't do it every time.
Yeah.
Or every day. But that kind of deep confidence, this is probably the biggest thing I got from that day. I mean, there've been other times since then when it's not been helpful because they're not all good days. But that was probably Whalers on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on a personal level is about recognizing this variation of self.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, because we're sold on this, be this all the time.
Right.
Be perfect, do this, work. The Instagram feed, depending on what you got in your feed, which motivational thing. But I learned, man, I'm not capable of doing that. Like what I did at Whalers, I couldn't do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it that day, and so.
And
I'm
it puts
glad,
it puts other things in perspective,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I want to go back to something actually we were talking about before we started recording, and you just kind of mentioned this, imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that we all deal with it, and it's interesting when it comes in conversation because someone like you who did make it through, I mean, there are incredible challenges that I know I couldn't make it through in this book that, you know, I got to understand a little bit more about your experience, right? And you said, I lived through that, I can make it through anything, but yet you still experience imposter syndrome, you know. It still doesn't make you feel like you're, you know, above everybody else or you can do anything or you're infallible. How do you manage, you know, imposter syndrome, especially as a leader when you've got to give everybody else the confidence, especially in, you know, a military operation to get through those difficult times. And I'm sure that translates, right, as you're training Marines, law enforcement, first responders. What do you do?
Have
Yeah.
you read The Alchemist?
I have not.
It's a short read. It's a novel.
Yeah.
And I am fond of saying I'm like the alchemist, but only for other people. I can't do it for myself.
Yeah.
And so I think I operate the people around me, I'm always trying to support everybody around me. You see in the school how I operate. So as long as there's other people, I feel confident that I'm confident in like putting that energy towards other people.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow it allows me to skip over the imposter syndrome stuff because it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I speak or when I do something like this.
Yeah.
That's when it really, I kind of struggle with it, but I rely on things like the fact that there is a book or that National Geographic talked to me or that I had this school for 50. I just kind of rely on the facts and say, okay, this is why this person is interested or whatever. But man, I really struggle with it every day. I mean, I hide from it.
Yeah.
There's a guy here at the school, Chris Scott.
Uh-huh.
And I forget what his company is called, but he has this test. And I'm gonna really screw this up for him, but it's like it's the equivalent of like a personality test.
Sure.
What is Myers-Briggs? Like
Myers-Briggs.
it's something like that, but it's a little different. It's more professional about how you operate. 2 questions. That's it. There's 2 questions, and the first one's something like, check everything off on this list that you do when you're at work.
Okay.
And then the next one is, I'm paraphrasing, he's going to be so mad. Here, what are the things that you would do if you weren't at work? Like, what would you do if it was just you?
Yeah.
And somehow it takes the 2 sides of that test and it outputs this very elaborate.
Like analysis.
Very elaborate.
Yeah.
And so I did it. Test 2 questions. I did it. He came back and he's like, I don't know, coach, but according to this, you're really faking it a lot. I was like, oh my God, you can tell?
He knows.
You can tell? You know, that's that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I felt that way when I got selected to be the company commander. I did not feel like I was at all the person who should be doing it. And in my head, I treated it like an acting job.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, because this is very counter to me, my personality, everything.
Yeah.
But I'm into people and supporting people, and especially Marines. And so it's like, well, who do I need to be to help this organization around me be, the best version. Some of that is like childhood trauma, people-pleasing behaviors, but sometimes those people-pleasing behaviors translate into leadership.
Yeah.
That's a known
Yeah. Sometimes
thing.
the
It's
trauma serves you. Yeah.
and in my case, I think that's kind of how it translated. I'm
Yeah.
so concerned about other people almost to a fault. Now at my age now, I'm trying to
Channel that a little bit.
not be so with everyone.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm focused on other people, the imposter syndrome doesn't get to me too much.
Yeah.
When I was doing some Division I speaking, motivational type of sports speaking stuff, I really had to kind of
Yeah.
just rely on, okay, you did have these experiences, so talk about that. Anyway, I'm not sure if
So
I
mantra is
answered
fake
your
it till you
question.
make it.
Pretty much, which I believe.
Yeah.
I believe in that mantra a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good for a lot of people.
It works. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to kind of put that aside and just fake it till you make it.
Man, I see a lot of unsteady, people come to jiu-jitsu for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
And I've seen more than one person in 15 years who they're not here to learn arm locks. They're here to like kind of find themselves a little bit on a mat.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't know how to act.
Yeah.
So coaching them like, okay, try to do this. And you can see they're faking. But say that's a first step because at least now you know what you think you want to act like.
Right.
It's a good strategy sometimes.
Yeah. That's a good place to transition, I think. So you're tired from active duty, right? You stepped into a very different kind of leadership role, and I know you went from there into the federal civil service. You also, at the same time, opened this gym. And you mentioned, actually did not know about your wrestling background. You mentioned wrestling in school. Failing at that, I'm not sure that you did. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. I'm going to let you say that. But I know you also got into judo at some point. What was it about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu then that captured your attention?
Yeah, I was doing judo when I joined the Marine Corps. My first duty station was Okinawa, and I ended up doing some judo. And then I got into a commissioning program, went to college. And my university had a pretty developed club team. So I was on my club team when I was in college and competed. And then I kind of had the idea that I could go to the Olympics. Well, other people were planning that idea. So for a little while, that was like a thought.
Okay.
I thought that was a goal
Yeah.
of mine. I don't know how serious I really was. But the timing didn't work out anyway.
Okay.
I got commissioned. I was at Camp Lejeune. I was an infantry officer, and I had a good leader, mentor, sat me down one time and said, "Listen, do you want to be an infantry officer or do you want to be a Marine Corps athlete?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pick. I'll
Yeah.
support either one. You get to pick." He was a great guy, and to me, the Marine Corps was more important at that time, and so the judo started to fade away. And I came here. I got stationed in Virginia, and I was working. I was a captain then, and I had a job out at Dahlgren. And just work talk, like, oh, I do judo. I tried to start a class out at Dahlgren, but I really wasn't ready to be teaching people yet. And there wasn't that many people interested. It was all the way out at, Dahlgren.
Yeah.
And another retired Marine who I'm friends with today, but we met at that time. He's also a black belt under Chad LeBrun at the lab. And he had started jiu-jitsu. His name's Mike McDonald. Very super heart-giving, wonderful man. Just a really generous man. And we hit it off at work. And he was a retired Marine. And he may have been the same program as me. Like, he was prior enlisted, became officer. Anyway, he's like, oh, you should try jiu-jitsu with this guy. This guy's doing jiu-jitsu in Fredericksburg. And at the time, my opinion of jiu-jitsu was very low.
Okay.
I was a pretty decent judo guy, and I was really into all aspects of judo, philosophical, practicing, everything. I was fully immersed. And I had been living in, Japan, Okinawa. And then when I was in college, I studied Japanese. I was president of Japanese Culture Club, president of Japanese Language Club, president of the Judo Club, like all things Japan. Like I was super into it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, jiu-jitsu, whatever. You know what I mean? I smashed those guys. But I didn't have an appreciation for where jiu-jitsu was in America.
Sure.
It was almost exclusively blue belts. Is about all. If you were lucky enough to find a school, it was like a blue belt. We were lucky with Chad. He was a purple belt. But I was a second degree in judo, a Nidan, second degree black belt, and pretty competitive. And this guy's like, you should try it. And I was like, whatever. I had been to a few schools where I'd run through people, again, having no appreciation for where I was as a grappler. And then I met Chad, and he was just starting off, and he had this little tiny spot in the back of the gym in Fredericksburg, and I went to go train with him, and man, I could toss him. And then he was choking me out like I was a baby. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
I've been fighting my whole life. Now here I'm a Marine infantry officer, captain, all this other stuff I was up to and going on. And this guy, I'm like, what is a purple belt? What is purple? This is not a martial arts belt, purple, you know? Man, he was choking me out like, and at the time, I attributed his skill set to jiu-jitsu, not to the man.
Okay.
If Chad had been a different guy and I had smashed him, I still wouldn't have gone to jiu-jitsu. But because he was choking me the way he was, that is what made me say, I got to learn whatever this guy is doing.
Right.
I'm going to learn.
It was
but I was
intriguing.
still like,
Yeah.
it's my judo. It's a hole in my judo. I'm going to close a hole and go
By
back
doing
to
that.
judo. But then, so that was it. You know, the fact that I was getting choked, I couldn't believe that someone could do that to me with my training.
Right.
I was shocked.
Right.
Holy cow. It wasn't until, you know, a couple decades later, we work together today.
Yeah.
He is, through him, we do our FBI work. It's his company. And so we're still, you know, Chad and I are still my first jiu-jitsu professor. We still have even though I got my black belt from Dala. He got his black belt from Dala. But now I know so much more about jiu-jitsu and everything. Now today, I would attribute that skill to Chad, not to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He was probably one of just a handful of people who could do that at that time. But it was useful for me because to me it was jiu-jitsu. And then that was it. I was kind of on it and training, not fully hooked. I got orders shortly after that to Hawaii.
Okay.
So I was with Chad probably like maybe a year and a half. Got my blue belt. Dala came from Brazil. Dala title on my blue belt. I didn't know him real well yet. I was with Chad, but that stuff was starting to form. It was the
Yeah.
beginning of what you see today.
Yeah.
And when I got to Hawaii, when my family, when we moved to Hawaii, I had two children, my wife and my two sons. We moved to Hawaii. I knew where I was going to live. I went over. I got to go early to kind of look around,
Yeah.
and I picked where I was going to live based on jiu-jitsu school. So I went there and I trained at a couple places, and I was like, okay, that's the place.
Yeah.
Then I went to the real estate agent and said, I work here. My jiu-jitsu's here. My house has to be in this footprint. Literally, that's how I picked my house.
I wonder if any other real estate agents had gotten like those kind of criteria, that kind of
I
criteria.
know they have because I know a number of jiu-jitsu guys
Who did the same.
They picked their house based on where they're going to train.
Yeah.
And that was 100% true for me. I did it then, and when I moved back to the United States, I picked my house based on where Dollar School was. And then when I finally moved away, I put my own school in by, near where I'm going to live.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to Hawaii, sorry.
Yeah,
and then I picked the school. I was under Helson Gracie there, and one of his professors, Ron Shiraki, I trained with Ron, those guys. And so when I got to Hawaii, that was it, full conversion. Like, okay, this is it. And I felt that way as a wrestler. I'm a wrestler the rest of my life. Then I found judo. I'm like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to jiu-jitsu, and now with jiu-jitsu, now I say, if I find something better, I'll do it.
Well, we hope
But
you
I haven't
stay
found
here.
out better yet.
Okay.
Not yet, and so that's 25 years almost now
Yeah,
of
yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Careers and Coffee Talk. Big thanks to today's guests for pouring out so many great insights. And hey, thanks to you for hanging out with us. If this episode gave you a little jolt of inspiration or made your day a bit more brewed and balanced, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Got a minute? Drop me a 5-star review. It's basically the podcast equivalent of buying me a fancy oat milk latte. Quick disclaimer though, the views expressed in this episode are personal and do not reflect those of any organization. Anyway, until next time, stay curious, stay caffeinated, and keep chasing the career that makes you feel the most alive. Catch you next time.